Gen X will take its turn at the top, and it will lead the United States of America. And it will do so sometime in the 2030s and through the 2040s. Like every other generation, they will almost certainly deliver some very good leaders and some very bad leaders. But generational leadership is all about what the entire generation does. What we now know is that when each generation takes its turn at the top, it instills those unique generational core values throughout American life. When that happens, that leadership generation always pushes America in a different direction from the prior generation's leadership. The good news about Gen X's leadership era, this generation is probably going to be brilliant at idea leadership. They're going to be very good at creating new products, new services, new processes, new efficiencies. Where the rubber meets the road, Gen X will excel. But it is likely that their generation is going to lack in many of the people skills required of good leadership. When I present generational leadership seminars around the country, Gen Xers tend to say the same thing. I'm not sure our generation wants to lead, because when we came of age, leadership wasn't that cool. And other Gen Xers who are already in management positions say, I don't really like the headaches and the hassles of managing other people. I presented this seminar in Northern California. Gen X woman came up during a break, and she said, can you help me out? She said, I just took a management position with this hospital. The people I'm managing won't let me in. They won't accept me. What should I do? And I said, have you sat them down and had a meeting to talk about it? And her reply was just classic, where the rubber meets the road, Gen X. That sounds like such a waste of time. She said, it seems like we should be working. Here's another very serious concern. There's an organization in our country called Young Presidents Organization, YPO. To be a member, you need to be a president of an organization of some significant size and younger than 45. And what that means is, right now, YPO is dominated by Gen X presidents. I spoke to a local chapter in Michigan. I asked them this question: when it is your generation's turn to lead, will your generation's leadership era be either extremely ethical, extremely unethical, or somewhere in between? And these Gen X presidents voted, our generation's leadership era will be extremely unethical. Self-focus, I'm in it for me, I take care of me, you take care of you. Well, the good news is Gen Xers are 20 years away from their leadership era. And what that means is they have 20 years to understand generational dynamics, to get their leadership strengths in front of them, and to get their leadership weaknesses in front of them in time to do something about it. To this point in time, the career years of Gen X have occurred during the era of epidemic executive corruption. And regrettably, that is always going to fall in the lap of the generation that was in charge of America in the 1990s and 2000s, and it was not the boomers. It was the silent generation. The boomers are only just now beginning their leadership era. It is understandable then if Gen X says this kind of corruption is normal, this kind of self-focus is normal, it's just the way it is. And when you couple that experience with their own survivalist mindset from their own childhood, you get a very powerful cocktail. that might position Xer leaders to be vulnerable to self-focus, to greed, and to the inevitable corruption that follows.